representing Franchise Secrets, Eric Von Horn.
Hey, in this episode of Franchise Secrets, I have my friend Melanie Richards on. She is the founder of goGLOW. goGLOW is a portfolio brand with my company, Front Street Equity Partners, so I know this brand very well. I've known Melanie for a while. She first came into the franchise or mastermind, and then we started working together at Front Street Equity Partners. So she's got such a cool brand. goGLOW, it's spray tanning. Think healthy, good, moisturizing spray tan with proprietary equipment and unique products that she developed. And so I think this will be interesting for people that are thinking about buying a franchise. So we kind of talk about why find a brand that has unique things about them, like what makes them different. And she started making her brand different before they were really even franchising. And then I think franchisors will find this interesting as well, because she did not award any franchises early on until we got a hold of her, and we've tweaked and changed a lot of different things that will make her brand better and scale faster because we did things right from the beginning. So I think that will be helpful. But man, she's got such a cool story too. Raised by a single mom that had her and her sister at the age of 16 and 17, welfare to college to kind of life-changing moment that I'll let you hear about. And then that kind of set her on a journey to create this brand, goGLOW. There's a lot of things that we got into. Some of the things that really attracted me to this brand, including like employee retention, why people love working there. Why is it really semi-absentee? Guys, so many brands say they're semi-absentee. What does it really mean? How do you verify that? So at the franchisor level, we got into why she grew the way that she did and why that could help validate the semi-absentee aspect of it. So this is a good one. This is a real good one. You can find them at goglow.co, GOGLOW.co, not .com, .co, gogo.co. Enjoy this episode. Mel, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I got lots that I'm thinking about. I remember our first conversation, and you eventually joined the mastermind, and then eventually became one of the portfolio companies that I have over at Front Street Equity Partners. And you're like, I want to be on the podcast. And I totally remember that conversation, and here you are, and we got some really cool stuff to talk about. So you ready?
Yeah. And, because I said, I want to be on the podcast, it's because for years, as I was building goGLOW, I'm listening to Podcast Secrets and just, on my daily walks, just visioning, this is what I can do with goGLOW, and just learning from you step by step. And it's just been amazing. So yes, this is one of my goals. Matt.
Awesome. Now people get to kind of hear your story, and there's going to be some lady out on her walk ready to build some cool brand, and they get to listen to what you've done. So the other thing I was thinking about too, and I posted about this the other day, we were at a meeting in Cincinnati. You were there, and Megan with Magnolia Soap and Bath, which is another portfolio company of ours, in addition to yours, of goGLOW. I thought, man, we just came, and our first two brands at Front Street Equity Partners are both woman-owned, and my mom owned a business. And so I don't really think about that probably as often as I should. It's just normal to me to have women in business, but I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And, growing up, I was not raised by entrepreneurs. Honestly, it just was never in my, my scope of what I was going to do when I got older or anything at all. And so I am really excited. I've been giving a lot of thought about goGLOW and, the opportunities that are coming and how, women are huge in our industry. And I'm just very excited for the opportunity for women to get out there and own some things.
We're going to talk about employees too, because you got a unique model of why you have such amazing retention. I know when Jeff and we went out to visit you in Minnesota, and it was freezing, even colder than South Dakota, I think. Definitely colder for Jeff, but we flew in and out same day, spent the day with you, took us around, and we were just surprised by a lot of things that we saw. And I remember being in the airport with Jeff, and we're like, we love Melanie, like we love her, and we love so many things about this brand. And so come full circle, we're working together. And let's, before we get into why we loved this brand so much for so many different reasons, with just the moats that you have around it and the things that you've done to just from equipment to the product to education to just the health for men and women that use the product. Let's go into your story, because you got a really cool story. So give us a bit of your background so people understand who you are and where you came from.
It's quite a different kind of path. I would say people get real surprised when they hear. I was raised by my mother. She was an actual official teen mom. She had my sister and I before she graduated from high school. And
wait. So how old was she when she had you and your sister?
She was 16 when she had my sister. And I want to say 17, just turned 17 when she had me. So,
and your mom's awesome. She is so awesome. I know her.
Yep. Yeah, she's the best. And, it was the three of us, and, pretty tough road. She graduated from high school and didn't skip a beat. She went to a university. And so, we had the welfare and the food stamps, and just, I had my grandparents who were there, awesome, that helped out a lot. But growing up, I really saw how hard that she worked. And she started with a company, and she started data entry in Minneapolis, and she left us. I'm from up in Duluth, and she left us with our grandparents for a year or so. And she started as data entry with a company and ended her career part owner of the manufacturing company and vice president. So, it was a crazy long journey, but I saw how hard she worked and her dedication. And she would come home and literally just sit and talk about, business and hiring, HR. And, I didn't know at the time, but I'm absorbing these things. And so it really built my work ethic, definitely. And so for me, I went to the same University of Minnesota, Duluth, followed in her footprints. And I went for criminology, sociology, and a minor in psychology.
Why? Why did you choose those degrees? I'll back up. I went to college, and I was getting into like political science, and because I wanted to be an undercover FBI agent. Like that's what I was doing. I was going to that, and then I decided, no, I want to get into business. But so I was just curious, like, why did you choose that as a degree?
It was just what interested me. I think people interest me, their stories, why they do what they do. When I was in high school, I did the post-secondary. So when I got to college, I had my 2-year associates, which was huge. If anybody has the opportunity, go ahead and do that. It's huge. But honestly, it was just the subject matter that captured my attention. I was very just interested in people. And so when I graduated, I realized, there's not so many jobs in that field. But then I had a family member who lived in San Diego. So I moved out to San Diego, and her neighbor was a juvenile probation officer. And sure enough, I fit my qualifications. So I started working for the county of San Diego in their juvenile hall. It was awesome. I loved working with the kids. I was in a 10 to 15-year-old boy unit. And then after a couple of years, I missed my family in Minnesota. So I transferred back home, and I started working for Hennepin County, and I started working in adult investigation, just doing pre-sentence investigations for gross misdemeanor crimes. And a lot of that had to do with domestic violence. And so it kind of like hit that niche of, families and people and really exploring that. Fast forward, my career was with Hennepin County for 12 years, and I specialized in working with battered women who have been brought into the system. I developed a caseload for them to make sure that they're getting the attention that they needed, not to be treated so much as offenders. It was also, I worked in a joint unit. So it was myself, a prosecutor, and a police officer. And it was for offenders who flee the scene. Long story short, there was a really horrific murder that happened on an offender that was on probation that we were tracking and trying to find. And he ended up killing the victim, her mother, and her grandfather. And that really sent me on a little bit of a turn. You know, I just really felt a lot of PTSD, to be honest, you know. And so it was a career that at the time of my life, I was getting married. I knew I was going to start having children, and I just didn't want to bring that vibe into it. It was very stressful. So I started to look around at like certain things that would just kind of tap into creativity more than anything. And I went to the Aveda Institute in Minneapolis. And Aveda is really huge in Minnesota. They've got national, international, but I went to their aestheology program. So it was a study of skin. Really interesting. I did that after work, finished the program, and I was on my way to Mexico with another classmate, and her and I were going, and I'm super, super pale. And this was in early 2011. And the options at that time were Mystic Tan. I think everybody remembers Mystic Tan. I think everybody has a really bad spray tan story, right?
Well,
you know,
I don't. So I might be the exception, but I do not have a bad spray tan story.
you are so lucky because there's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of trauma around spray tanning. And, you know, the options at that time were Mystic Tan. And, you know, that's where they close you in a booth, and it's like a car wash. It's like a human car wash, and that just fires you with solutions. And being as fair as I am, you're going to end up with the stained hands. You've seen people like the stained hands or the stained feet. They're just orange, nasty. Anyways.
So I know what you're saying is true, not because I've experienced it, but when I talk to women about this, they're just, you know, nodding their heads, and they know what that looks like and what that feels like. And like I know so much more about spray tanning today than I did a year ago. And like what you're saying, I can hear the women, you know, I can see the women right now, like going, yes, what she's saying is true. And it is no fun.
It is no joke. Yeah, honestly. And I remember, you know, back when I was like maybe 12, and I rode my bike up to Target, and I got QT. It was like QT tan. It was in like this tube, and I put it on my forearms, and it was just a bright burnt orange. And I was like so embarrassed. I would tell people like, oh, I was helping stain your deck, you know, like it was so embarrassing. But yeah, those have been the options. But at that time, there was a woman in the area, and she was doing custom spray tans. And so for me, I thought it was a high price point. You know, I'm a probation officer. I don't have a ton of money. But the technique that she used and the solutions, I was a beautiful brown, right? I wasn't the orange, you know, and I was just like, oh, wow. And honestly, that set me on my path in the sense that I wanted it done, and I didn't want to pay as much. You know, it was close to $100 to have that done. And I just started doing some research. And at that time, I basically found a company that had equipment. It was an air compressor, and they weigh like 50 pounds, but it was in like the suitcase thing, pop-up tent. And I maxed out my credit card. So I started my company with $5,000, you know. You got to do what you got to do, right? And so honestly, I just was grabbing friends, my sister, and I'm like, you guys got to try this. And so I was spraying them and learning. And it grew literally from there because I started processing. I'm like, there's a lot of people that would love this, including myself. I've always just I built the company on my taste and what I would look for as far as products and service. And so in May of 2011, I started, it was just me, and I would bring my machine and a pop-up tent and take appointments after work, after my probation work. And so every evening I was out, and on the weekends, just tooling around the metro with a pop-up tent and spray tan solution. And I turned it into pretty good business, I would say.
One of the things that we liked is, you know, you went from mobile, and then you went into the salons, one of the salon suites, and I believe it was Sola, and I'm friends with the owner there. And when you said that you did that again caught our attention. Like, we like that. We like, you know, there's different. So just go into that. Why did you go into one of the salon suite concepts? Again, I believe it was Sola Salons. And what was the experience like? You know, why did you get kicked out? Why did you get kicked out of Sola? I need to talk to my buddies over there to see why they really kicked you out. But go into that story, because that's a good one.
Yeah. The reason for the location and starting to look is demand. We couldn't be everywhere. Mobile is a very difficult business to keep going, you know. And based on demand, it was okay. Well, let's look at a location. Well, you know, when you're bootstrapping your business, you don't have a ton of money, and so I looked into Sola. Those were really kind of exploding at that time, and it was in 2014, and there was a Sola in Uptown Minneapolis, and it was like, I believe it was their large single suite, and it was 100 and little over 100 square feet, 150 maybe. And we,
So standards are 100, larges are 150, and
we
doubles are 200 square feet. So you're probably in a large, is what I'm guessing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so we just, you know, we bought an overspray booth and rolled it into the corner. We had our products that we would retail, and you know, they have those sliding doors. We had chairs out in front of our suite, and just took appointments every 20 minutes. And it was sweaty, it was hard work, but it grew very fast. And so what was happening is we were getting lines that were standing in the hallway because we were moving, you know, so many clients through. And Solo was like, okay, you know, you guys either need to move into a double, you need, you know, to do something here. And so I started looking at Edina, which is sort of our heavy retail area in Minnesota. And that's when in 2015, I built my first storefront. And I built the storefront with 3 spray rooms, thinking, of course, you know, you're coming from one at Sola. Let's triple it. I'm thinking, whoa. And within the year, I'm busting out walls, moving to 6 rooms.
So same
Um,
location, went from 3 rooms because you built out 3 rooms originally, then you needed
yeah,
to expand. So same location, you went from 3 rooms to 6 rooms.
right, right, within the year. And then, so then in 2017, I started looking at expanding more to the national because I'm listening to Franchise Secrets, you know, and you got to get your footprint down. And Chicago and Minneapolis, they share a base, you know, it's the same, the clientele very familiar with. And so I had my second location, and that was in River North in Chicago, right next to a dry bar. And we built out, I want to say, 6 rooms there. And
So back up to the
yeah,
timeline. You built out that first location in Edina in
hmm
2016, did you say?
15,
2015. When did you open up Chicago?
2017. So
2017.
15, we started with the 3 rooms, 6 rooms in 2016, and then 2017 with a rebrand. I wanted to build my own skincare line. There was definitely a need in the products that we were using that I knew that I could make better. And so that's when I started working with a chemist and developing our own spray tan solution, as your partner Jeff calls it, the juice. It's like, we're gonna call it the juice. But yeah, so I developed our own line of spray tan solutions, aftercare products, pre-care, exfoliation, the whole thing. So we have a nice line of, there's 5 simple products that go with. And the huge part about goGLOW is that we consider ourselves a professional skin service. We're really trying to kind of pull away from the tanning industry in the sense that the way that we're educating our clients and the way that the needs that our clients have, we're teaching people basically like, this is how you're going to have a successful goGLOW. One of our taglines is, it's not a spray tan, it's a goGLOW, because we're really trying to just separate and just say, hey, we understand there's a ton of really bad experiences with spray tanning. And when you come in here, you should expect skin education. You should expect for us to tell you these sort of things that you're using on their skin that's not working for your skin, it's not helping your skin, kind of for the results and everything. So anyways, wow. 2017, that's when I did the rebrand. I did my own solutions, and then I did my retail line. Opened Chicago in May.
Okay, let's get to Chicago in just a second because I want to understand like how that opened up, because I know you weren't like you didn't move there and you didn't have anybody move there to open it up. So I want to get into why that thing has done so well with we'll just call it semi-absentee management from a different state. So, but before we get there, you were just kind of talking about, you developed your own skincare line, education to, why it's not a spray tan, why it's a goGLOW, things like that. So buyers out there, franchise buyers, when you're looking at brands, it's good to ask them what makes them different. So us over at Front Street, when we look at getting involved with a brand, because we do a deep dive in a brand. Now, Mel, you know what deep dive means, like how involved we actually get. But we look for founders that are amazing like you, and we look for things that are different. Maybe it's an industry that has been around for a while, but the founder thinks differently, is doing things differently, creates a moat. And for you, you have your own equipment. It's not just something that you buy off the shelf. You have your own skincare line. You do a lot of education. So there's a lot that's different about what you do. So talk about, like, why did you have your manufacture your own equipment, and you spent a lot of money to be able to do that? Why did you create your own skincare line? Because I think franchisors, you did this early on. A lot of franchisors think about this later on, but this is one of the reasons why we wanted you to be one of our portfolio companies. So why did you start doing that so early on?
Right. Well, it's my high standards, and it's when something is okay. So you have your solutions, you have your equipment that you start out with, and then you start seeing this can be done better. This can be done better. This can be done better. I don't have a switch in me that says, no, you can't do that. Right. I'm just like, well, I'm going to figure this out. Why wouldn't I be able to do it? Let's just figure this out. So when it came to the equipment on the market is extremely subpar. It was simply not built for the volume we were doing, right? So the spray tan industry right now is very fragmented. You have just people grabbing machines and literally spraying people in back of salons or, in their garage or that sort of thing. So, and the equipment that's on the market now is, it's okay for just, Sally, who's just doing her thing. But at goGLOW, we're doing thousands of services. And with the overspray, right, you don't want clients sitting in there and breathing in, the solutions. And with our proprietary techniques of spraying, we are very particular of where the spray is going. And so I got it in my head. I'm like, no, I can do this better. And I worked with an engineer company, and we built an overspray booth that has 4-time filtration. So anything that's coming, so when we're spraying, we're using high volume, low pressure spray. So it's an air and mixed with a solution. And so when we're spraying,
mixed with the juice, you got the air and the juice coming out.
Right. And so when you think about getting your car detailed or something like that, it's very particular. And we are very particular about where we're spraying people on their body. If it's going to be contouring, it's going to be this, that. But with the filtration, it's pulling everything in to the filtration system, filtering it all out. And so you have clean air as well. I think some of us have seen, these spray tan salons or places are pretty dirty. They look gross. You're like, your standards, definitely not my standards, right? At goGLOW, our salons are white. Okay. That's for a reason. We want people to know, this is clean ingredients. This is a clean salon. This is a high standard that we have here. And, when it came to the equipment, yes, I did spend a ton of money, but we have the best and nobody else has this. And that's where, coming to market, we definitely can say there is not a road in this whole service that I have not literally thought down to the very nano of anything, of perfection, of how I wanted it done. If I was a client, what do I see when I walk in? That's where we found a lot of success and just elevating the whole industry. And I really look forward to the industry having an opportunity and having its moment in the sun of hey, this is something that, you look back, if you talk about services and Allie Webb with Dry Bar, she started the single mobile blowouts from a same way I did, right? And now it's a huge industry of people going to blowout bars. That's what we are able to do with goGLOW.
Attention, franchisors and franchisees. There are 2 really important resources that I want to share with you that will help you avoid costly mistakes and increase your enterprise value. The first is our free Facebook group. It's a community that has over 4,000 franchisees and franchisors in it. When somebody asks a question, they get honest and authentic answers from multiple perspectives. You can join the group for free over at franchisesecrets.com/Facebook. The second resource I want to share with you is if you're a franchisee and you want to be around a community of successful Zs and other brands and in other industries, this is why I created the Franchisee Mastermind. If you want access to the best single and multi-unit owners to know what they're doing, or if you want to be around other multi-brand owners, then you'll want to check out my Franchisee Mastermind. The reason why people join is they want access to my Rolodex, my connections, to each other. They want a shortcut success, both short-term and long-term. Links will be in the show notes or at scalablefranchise.com. One of the things is kind of validate what you said, because you talked about just the high level of customer service and customer experience and all of that. And we had someone do surveys to the customers to really understand a lot of different things about the brand and the customer, and just a deep dive into a lot of that, and came out with a net promoter score. And the person that did that survey and came back with the net promoter score, she was like, holy cow, her customers love goGLOW. She's like, here's a really good net promoter score, and here's goGLOW's net promoter score. I can't remember off the top of my head, or else I would say it. But yeah, it was
83.
Yeah, I figured you would.
World class.
Yes. So, it's not just fluff. A lot of people can get on and say, we're better at this, we're better at that, but not you. And another thing, just franchisors out there, when you have somebody like us at Front Street interviewing a brand, and brands interview us to kind of see if we might want to work together, we always ask, like, why would a consumer want your brand? Why would a franchisee want to have your brand? And so many times it's, we're better. Well, how are you better? Well, we have bigger territories, lower fees, lower royalties, and all these other kinds of things. Like, that does not make you better. And just because you say you're better does not mean you're better. And so all the things that you're kind of hearing from Melanie right now, this is why we really like this. Let's talk about employees for a second, because this is one of the things that Jeff and I came away, we're like, wow, there's low employee turnover. People want to work there, and it's not a difficult job. So why do people love working at goGLOW, spraying people?
Right. Well, I think that it's an awesome opportunity, because our workforce, where that comes to us, is basically our clientele. When they come in, they feel so good. They know the girls are having fun. And you don't need a license in the sense of, it's not estheticians, it's not cosmetology. It is unregulated, as they say, for licensing. So anybody can work at a goGLOW. We particularly love our teachers. Teachers love working for goGLOW. Servers, people that are really want to engage with people and just, love having the conversations. What are you coming in for? Are you getting married? What is the occasion? And I think that our clientele really appreciates that about us. We keep very detailed notes about the formula that we use and how did they prepare. So if there were any problems that we can pinpoint, okay, well, it was probably this. Next time we'll switch that up. You don't use certain soaps that don't work well with spray tanning. And so the employees love making people feel good. And that's the thing about goGLOW, is that people come in and they've had a stressful day or whatever. And, within a minute, they're just like, this is a safe space. It's fun. It's, it's a quick service. It's about 20 minutes, but in that time, we're engaging with our clients. And like you said, the spray is actually not a difficult, we definitely train our employees. The specialists go through 20 hours of training, and it's very specific because we have proprietary techniques. But the actual spray is maybe 2 minutes. So it's not taxing. It's not like a massage therapist. It's not like somebody doing a facial. And so the employees love it. They can get 3 appointments in an hour. They make
and
hourly.
They're not rushed. They're not rushed. It's 20
no.
minutes, 3 appointments. customers in the store for about 20 minutes,
Uh-huh.
and they're in and out. The actual spray tanning itself is about a 2 minute process. And so again, it's not taxing on the employee. They make great money. Like I would imagine they're making way more per hour than they are working other places, and that's why retention is so high. But that's one of the things that we love. Like we're in this state in the economy, or just where we are in the world, where it is not easy to find employees. Like that's one of the other things that we look for in Front Street. Like how difficult is it to find employees, keep employees, and what are franchisors doing to be able to attract and keep really good employees? And so when we started to hear what that retention is like, and just the workplace and why they love working there, that was a big thing for us. I don't know if you probably don't even know how big that was for us, but we're like, wow, this makes a difference, because people don't want to buy a franchise if employee issues are a big issue, because people don't see that really getting better. The other brand, Magnolia Soap and Bath, same way. There's people enjoy working there, and there's just something unique about that. So that's why we love brands like yours. So anything else with employees that you'd kind of want to comment on?
Yeah, our model, basically our business model is, our employees are generally part-time. Each store maybe has one full-time person, but they don't have to. And they're working in other careers, and this is like their fun, right? And they're making very good money, and we don't have a manager on duty at all times, right? So it's a very independent. You go in, you have your appointments, and these girls run the business. It's fine, And what you were saying about absentee and this, and you really can just have, like, we have a manager that manages all of our locations, and she lives in Minnesota, flies out to Chicago once a month or so, maybe, depending, And so I love our employees because they're independent. They love the brand. They want to be doing the best for it. They believe in it. And the skincare alone, the knowledge that we give them, and the knowledge that they can give to people that people have no idea, these really, really, questionable ingredients that are on the market now, and what they're doing to your skin, mind blowing.
So the other thing that we liked about goGLOW was that you've kind of proven out the semi-absentee nature of it, because so many franchise brands out there say they're semi-absentee, but what it really means when they say this is a semi-absentee business model, it means if you want to run this business from afar or with a full-time job or whatever, we will allow you to do that. So there's a difference between we will allow you to do that as a franchisor versus what you guys have done is like, we've done that and we know how to do that and what works and what doesn't work. And so, again, like that gives franchise buyers in any concept a lot of confidence when the franchisor, two things, when the franchisor has proven out the semi-absentee aspect of it with one or two or more locations, or franchisors have franchisees that have proven it out. And proven out, I mean, that might mean one location, it's proven out with one. It might be 20 or 50 locations. There's just different levels of that. But, we were impressed with that. And we know that you've actually done that. So what does it look like? Like, what does that team look like in Chicago?
Yep. Chicago, between Minnesota and Chicago, we're pretty seasonal. In the winter, people always think that, spray tanning, you'll be so busy in the winter. And it's just actually, that's our low season, right? Because everyone's sort of bundled up and covered up and that sort of thing. So during our high season, we start ramping up around January. And right now we have, I want to say, like 15 or 16 girls that are part-time.
Let me just stop. We're getting into that, but I wanted to say one thing. If you ever get interested in this brand and you get the FDD, and in there you'll see an item 19 where there's a lot of financial information and numbers and different things disclosed in that. So you will have access to see the real numbers that she's talking about. So when you think seasonal business, some people think, oh, not as much money or whatnot. But so we will probably be putting out some more of those numbers and the actual things that are disclosed in the item 19. And that's going to blow people away because we couldn't believe it when we first saw that. But go back to, I just want to give it the audience a sense. And I think this is a good lesson for any franchisor out there. One of the things that we look for at Front Street is to have really solid numbers at the corporate unit, meaning people would want to buy it. If they did those numbers, that they would want to buy a franchise. So the franchisor has to have impressive, good numbers that are not unique just to a particular location or whatnot. So franchisors, as you are thinking about franchising, have that corporate unit or units just cranking and doing very well. So when you have franchisees looking at it, you can disclose that in the item 19 in the FDD, or when you have people like us at Front Street looking at working with you, it impresses a group like ours. So back to Chicago, you have about 15 part-timers there, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
And management. Do you have a manager, a local manager, one of those 15, kind of the lead person, or they all have the same kind of job title?
They all have the same job title.
So
I have, my manager that manages our Edina location and our North Loop.
one manager managing the 2 in Minnesota, and the 1 in Chicago goes out there about once a month.
Yeah.
And what are the challenges with that? A lot of advantages to it, but I'm just curious if is there any challenges with that?
Yeah, when we're hiring, when we're ramping up type of thing, there's challenges with training but I know it sounds crazy, but these women really run this store out of just sheer love and pride of their work, and it's a pretty simple model.
Do you have a front desk person, a receptionist?
No.
All right, so let's shift gears to some of the products, like or the education. When we were there, like we saw a guy getting spray tan because he brought in somebody to show us, and we're like, wow, this was easy, and that was like great for Jeff. Jeff's going to do that. I'm not, but no, it was just really simple, and I can see why. GQ says this is the year of the man tan. But then you go into all this education. You are big. Like I go to you, I'm like, what kind of sunscreen should I get? What kind of moisturizer should I get? I go to my dermatologist and Mel. Like these are my 2 go-tos now. Because you care about that stuff. You don't want a bunch of chemicals. You don't just tell us about your mindset around a bunch of chemicals and just skincare in general. Because I know people, when they think spray tan, they just think I'm getting a bunch of chemicals dumped on me. I'm getting sunscreen. I just had a conversation. I was mountain biking with a buddy of mine. He's like, Eric, do you think all sunscreen do you think some sunscreen's bad for you? I'm like, Terry, of course it is. He's like, I just learned how bad sunscreen might be for you. So get into the skincare, educate the audience on some skincare stuff and why you believe in moisturizing and different things, not just making somebody look better.
Right. As far as the skincare, there's a lot of ingredients that are in your over-the-counter moisturizers, and if you see something 24-hour moisturizing, well, a lot of that is going to be mineral oils, and mineral oil is notorious. What it does is it actually creates a seal over your skin, and so that does not allow your skin to breathe. It is just truly it causes a lot of problems. That and petrolatum, which is petrol, and that is generally speaking going to be in a lot of over-the-counter moisturizers. And I know this gets men just really a little bit twisted when we say, the bar soap. You got to be careful with the bar soap because your skin naturally makes oils that it wants on its skin to protect it, to literally have your own built-in moisturizer. And so bar soaps, they get you clean, but what they're doing is they're cleaning all of your oils off of you. And so your body's like, it wants to have its natural oils. Now with bar soap, I always say, for sure, clean your bits and pieces, but don't put it on your entire body because that's going to end up with kind of that dry, tight skin. It's going to change your pH. All skin has a pH balance that we want to maintain. And so with our cleanse, all of our all of our products are plant-based. Every single ingredient is organic when we can get it. And the basis
So you said organic when you can get it, because you can't always get necessarily certified organic or whatever those things are, but and that's going to be the case for all of this stuff. But so where you can, it's organic, plant-based, just
yeah.
much healthier.
And yeah, and that's an awesome point to bring up because technically there's no such thing as an organic spray tan, right? So I think that people are really kind of flirting with disaster there when they say they have an organic spray tan, because the FDA has said, look, the process and DHA, which is dihydroxyacetone, which is the active ingredient, that is what's browning your skin. That is just simply a molecule in the sugar beet. And so what the FDA says is that if you're going to go into take the molecule out of the sugar beet, that is now not an organic process. Fine. So that is, the DHA is, sugar. And when it reacts with the amino acids on your skin, just like if you cut an apple in half and it oxidizes with the air, it's the same exact process that's happening on your skin. So people get really, as far as just knowledge, and that's what a lot of goGLOW is about. It's about teaching people about skin and knowledge and why these things are happening. Well, that's what's happening on your skin. And so when we say you should be using this cleanser because it keeps your skin pH balanced, it keeps those amino acids on your skin that you want, and that's what's going to help the browning of your skin. And so, like, when I was, going through this path of building goGLOW, those are the things that I'm like, wait a minute, like, let's dial into that and let's find, something that can make it even better. And so we've added tons of hyaluronic acid, which holds moisture into your skin. So when you're getting a spray tan, you're getting tons of antioxidants, vitamins. So it's actually good for your skin to get the spray tan, right? And so it's, and when I say, when we can get it organic, that's simply, if it's organic, we're going to get it. But, that's where I say that. And I'm working with, my manufacturer is a very small, which I love, right? It's not the huge 800-pound gorilla that's supplying to everyone, because it's meeting the needs. I can say, look, I need to add, if say Denver, right, you have an elevation, their skin is so much drier, we can say, we need to make a solution specifically for Denver, that because they have different skin needs, and that is why with having a goGLOW, it's important that we are able to adjust these things, right? Because it's specifically customer experience is my 100%. That is exactly what I focus on, and what the success of the business has been is I'm solely focused on the customer's experience. And it's about skincare. And that's why I love, you can tell I'm getting really good at, talking about skincare, and so there's a lot. And I think this industry is just begging for a goGLOW to just say, okay, you guys, let's everybody do this the right way. This is the knowledge base. I'm excited for many people to have the opportunity to change the game here. This is what we're doing.
So before we met, you had an FDD, right? You were a franchisor. You could sell franchises if you had wanted to. We met, and Jeff and I were like, this is great. We love it. We want you as a portfolio brand. You wanted us to help you grow as a partner, strategic partner. And we were so thrilled that you hadn't awarded any franchise locations yet, because so many brands start out the wrong way, and you didn't know what you didn't know. So just talk to that a little bit. Like, you almost could have awarded some franchisees before we got involved, but like, what have you learned just about the franchising process, or like what great looks like, what having a team of like A players advising on things looks like?
It's mind blowing, to be honest. I have always felt that goGLOW, the way I've really slowly, steady built, I needed the exact right partners, and the fact that I was able to partner with you guys is truly a dream come true. And then I start, when we go through the due diligence with Jeff, and oh my gosh, just watching Jeff's brain is insane, and I'm just like, oh, and honestly, I've kept goGLOW to myself for so long. I, no panels, no podcasts, nothing. I'm just slowly putting my head down and building. And it was really rewarding when Jeff was just like, girl, you did this. Like, you could, and it was like first validation, really honestly, of like, you've done this right. And then when, we sign on and then he's bringing in, his other partners, yourself. And it's just like, I just feel so, number one, lucky. And number two, my eyes about this industry, about franchising, I knew in my gut, right, when I had them available to buy, but I did not award any, that I was out of my league, to be truly honest. And that I think the best leaders know what they don't know. Okay. And so that's exactly where I was. I was like, look, if I think that this is an awesome business that can scale, but if it's not done right, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. Right. I'm totally fine where I'm at, but I'm not going to do it if it's not done right. And then to have the A team come in has just been mind blowing. It's awesome. And learning LMS, learning management systems. It's FDD, watching Jeff do his magic with FDDs and the number crunching and how much numbers and literally everything is out there. And that's how I am. I'm a very put it all out there. Let's just, and I think that there's a lot of, similarity between Front Street and goGLOW, because we want everyone to know everything about it because we want the right people in.
It's about full disclosure. It's about you talk to brands and I don't know if I want to put my real numbers in the disclosure document. Well, why not? And because I think everyone wants, they hear some of these massive numbers and net profits, and you have a lot of that, but you always think somebody else has more. Or someone is going to say no because they want to make more money, or they want more gross revenue, or they don't like this, or they don't like that. But if you put it out there, people understand the opportunity so much better. And that's why we love to have very good item 19s, which is where all that financial information and just other types of KPIs and different things is disclosed, and not really cherry picked, but really just open for people to see, so they can start to build a financial model themselves based off of actual numbers. Because if you don't put numbers in the item 19, you can't talk about it at the franchisor level. You cannot tell franchisees that are looking at buying your brand numbers that are not disclosed. And if you are hearing numbers that are not disclosed in a franchise that you're evaluating, they're doing something wrong. They are not supposed to be doing that. That's why we spend a lot of time on these item 19s, so we can talk so much about the numbers, because we talk about the numbers that are in there. And yeah, I know Jeff spends a lot of time on that type of stuff. All right. What, if you had to describe who you're looking for as a franchisee, who do you think would make a great franchisee?
I look back and I think about this, and I feel obviously strongly, from my prior career into this, and it's really, female focused. I think that there is, if you think back on how my road, I didn't come out as an entrepreneur, right? I learned how to be, I built all of this and a lot of hard work, but I also, got married, had 2 children. And while I was doing this, right? And so I strongly believe that there's a lot of women out there, they're working for the big corporations. We have a lot, Target is here in Minneapolis. So many strong female leaders that would love to be in the beauty industry. I don't think that there's so many opportunities right now in the beauty industry to own a brand or to own a business. And I think that coming into this space, it's going to be just so rewarding and amazing to see. Honestly, it's not that I'm only looking for female, franchisors, but it's an insane opportunity to be in a place of beauty literally and figuratively, of being a place of beauty, making women feel good, and just being in your zone, right? And bringing that to, I mean, we get requests all the time for all of these cities. I'm like, yes, we're coming soon, hopefully. But it's, people want goGLOW. They want us everywhere. And so it's going to be so fun to meet, these new franchisors and leaders, and just to feel that excitement about what we've built.
So I was in the beauty industry with Sola. We had 12 locations, and there's 4 of us dudes that were in that. And we had some female managers and some male managers, and it's interesting.
And I would imagine a lot of your the owners within Sola, like the suites, those are all, I would say, majority women.
In there, this depends, right? I mean, some of the salon suite, yeah, a lot of people in the beauty industry are women, whether it's from an esthetician standpoint, eyelashes and whatnot. But, even like the owners of Amazing Lash, when I was part of that brand, there's a lot of male owners in there that either their wives were involved or they hired female managers, or, so it'd be interesting to kind of see what Drybar. So when I think about it, I'm like, it's going to be a similar owner as a Solo, similar owner as an Amazing Lash, similar owner like any of these beauty brands, but because they're managing a business with employees who are not that demanding. They can scale it pretty rapidly. So I love it that there's going to be, you're going to be creating a lot of women entrepreneurs, which is awesome. But man, one of my business partners in another business said, Eric, I think I want to open up a goGLOW. And his wife is involved in business too, but it's going to be fun just to kind of see the mix of franchisees. Even with the other brand, Magnolia Soap and Bath, they got a mix of owners there as well. And a lot of people is the other thing I think about too, from the franchising world, like Magnolia, they have franchisees that are, part of other really good, impressive franchise systems, and multiple ones, from food to all kinds of different ones. And I can see the same for you. Like, this is ripe for the franchisee that wants to diversify, add a second or third brand to their portfolio, because the demand that is not as high as it would be with some of these other concepts out there. And so I think my prediction is you will have other franchisees that this is going to be their second or third brand, which I think is going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's a really great, because it's also, bringing something to really a market that doesn't have anything like this yet. It's very fragmented, and it's going to be an awesome, fun. It's going to be fun just to see where this goes.
Tell me about your manager. Tell me a bit about like what makes her great.
Margot is amazing. She's been with me since, I want to say, oh, she's going to get so mad at me if I don't know the exact, 2014. So we're going
I'm
on
going to send this to her to
next
make
year.
sure that it's 2014.
Yeah. Yep. And she started as a mobile operator. So she was out in a truck. And then when we opened up in Sola, she was the main one in there working. And she was promoted to manager when I opened up Chicago. And she's like, oh, I'll totally move to Chicago. So she got Chicago going for a couple of years until 2020. And that's when she moved home. Of course, when everyone hears 2020, you just kind of die a little bit inside. I was kidding. So, just the recalibration of when 2020, and then we opened back up, and we realized you don't have to live there. It's running beautifully. It bounced back amazingly. So it's, the thing with 2020 is, of course, it was very difficult, extremely. I think it tested a lot of people's fortitude and their strength and their confidence. But it really did retool a whole lot of processes, right? And so with goGLOW, we came out stronger. And it's definitely a testament to our employees and to management and how we navigated through it.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, again, one of the things that Jeff and I saw is, like Margot, like she's been with you since the beginning, and she's amazing. And we asked about your employee retention and how long people have been there, and just so long. And so I think that there's a lot that's attributed to, but one of it is having a great leader like yourself. So if you weren't a great leader, Margot wouldn't have stuck around. So how do you view employee retention? How do you reward them? How do you treat them? Like, just give us some sense of that.
I have a huge amount of love and respect for everybody that works for goGLOW. We actually have a WhatsApp chat for each. We have one for Minnesota and one for Chicago. And in that WhatsApp chat, literally all the girls are in it. And we talk about skill, we talk about appointments, we talk about, good job with this, that, and so it's a constant open communication with myself, with Margot, with other employees. And I think that really bonds us in a sense of we're all creating something great. There's zero chance that, I did this on my own. I get very uncomfortable to be like, look what you built. No, you can't, there's not a single business that is built just on one leader, right? It takes grit, and Margot and I have been through it in the sense of, she has really, when there's days where I'm just like, oh my gosh, with 2020 or, things that you go through, and, she's the strong one. And I'm like, let me just fall apart for a second, but it's just, to have, like you said, we have employees that have been with us for 5+ years, and it's a family, and they are looking at opening up their own goGLOWs. And I love that. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for all of them. And, a lot of them were college girls, especially in Chicago. There's a lot of colleges right down there in River North. And, they graduate and they still stay, and that's where when we move on to this next phase of growing goGLOW, I'm definitely going to be looking at those, girls to be like, is this something that you're interested in? Would you like to work for corporate, and grow with them? And so I have the utmost respect for every single one of them. And I know how much they love goGLOW.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to get cranking on this. We'll have you on in a year to kind of see the difference between today and a year from now. So thanks so much for coming on. It's nice to have you, like, you were a stranger, a phone call a while ago, and now we're friends. And and it's so fun just to see how this franchising world is. So great to be with you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks for listening to the Franchise Secrets podcast. Links to everything can be found over at franchisesecrets.com. And if you want my help with anything from starting your own franchise to growing your current franchise business, please visit scalablefranchise.com.